Welcome back to Arise News Hour. I'm Charles Anier-Golden. Now let's head north across the Sahara to Tunisia, where municipal elections have taken place for the first time since President Ben Ali was overthrown in 2011, the trigger for the so-called Arab Spring. Tunisia's Islamist Ennahda party has claimed victory in the elections, with exit polls showing that its secularist rival, Nida Tunis, is 5% behind. Both parties make up Tunisia's ruling coalition. The Tunisian Prime Minister, Youssef Chahed, described the poll as an important step that would complete the move towards democracy. Turnout stood at just under 34%. Correspondents say voters are disillusioned with the lack of economic progress. Tunisia currently has an inflation rate of around 8%, and unemployment stands at more than 15%. The government's new austerity budget was met with a wave of protests earlier this year. Well, for more on the Tunisia elections, let's cross over live now to the African Affairs analyst and publisher of Africa Briefing, John Ofe-Ansah, who's been monitoring developments in Tunisia from our London studios. Good to talk with you, John. Let's just start by talking about that Islamist Ennahda party claiming victory. Tell us how much they figured in these elections.
They figured because the people are actually, there's a lot of apathy within the country, especially amongst the youth. Okay, like you said in your presentation there, the economic expectations that the Tunisians expected after the 2011 revolution haven't been met. So the disillusionment has set in right across the population, and especially amongst the youth. And they believe somehow that this Islamic group is better placed to maybe deliver on their expectations.
John, conversely, was there any worry about Islamist extremism sort of finding its way into these elections? I mean, did that also figure in this ballot?
It was not, something that was actually expected, but that group, I think, is part of the governing coalition now. And it is not surprising that, again, like I said, considering, the poverty, the corruption, and the high unemployment and some security problems in the country, it is not surprising that, most of the voters, tend to that Islamic group. But it does not necessarily mean that there's going to be a rise of Islamic fundamentalism, within Tunisia. It does not necessarily equate to that.
Talk about the significance of these municipal elections, because at the heart of it is the issue of decentralizing power. So the first free and fair election that could bring change for the first time since 2011.
Yes, I didn't hear the first part of your question, but if I figured out correctly, this is the first time that the country, has voted in free municipal elections. So it is a step, another milestone, right, on the road to democracy in that cradle of the Arab Spring. So I would say that it is it's a step in the right direction, because it's the first time voters have been able to elect freely, without any intimidation or whatever from above, freely their local representatives.
Nevertheless, you mentioned the fact, the issue of apathy, and we understand that just around, I think, under 34% of registered voters actually voted. I mean, why were people so apathetic? Is there a sense that voting won't change anything at all?
You see, the Arab Revolution, the Arab Rising that occurred in 2011, right, occurred because of poverty, because of economic hardships, because of perceived corruption. So Ben Ali, the former dictator Ben Ali, was thrown out, in the hope that the new government, new freely elected government, would improve the economic well-being of the people. But here we are. You mentioned it again in your presentation, the mass protest that was sparked by the austerity budget presented by the government early this year. The people are fed up. I mean, they are disappointed. They are disillusioned. That it's just like something like Animal Farm, where people thought that with the overthrow, right, of the old, order, the new order will usher in prosperity. But it hasn't happened, right? That is why, most of the people, of the voters, are so disillusioned, especially the youth.
So do you reckon that people are now beginning to feel nostalgic for the old days of Ben Ali? In other words, that a benign dictatorship appears to be better than an open democracy?
Well, that's a debatable. Yet some might, definitely some might, hanker, for the good old days in quotes of Ben Ali, right? But I believe that most of the people, right, would rather they held on to the current order, right, and make their voices heard and exert pressure on the current administration to take measures to improve their economic well-being.
Right. Democracy, as you know, John, was of course once a novelty there in Tunisia. The country was the cradle of the Arab Spring, as you correctly mentioned. Has all that lost its appeal and its shine there?
Definitely, because if you kick out one dictator because he's not delivering, right, because he's trampling upon your rights, because he's not improving your economic well-being, because whilst he's getting richer, you are getting poorer, right, and usher in a new order, a new dispensation, okay, fine, they've got democracy. People are able to express, their views. Well, there's freedom of expression in the country now, right? They freely elect, their representatives to parliament, to government, to their municipalities, right? But if, they are not able to deliver, I believe that eventually they'll be kicked out at the ballot box. But so far, I mean, they've got the democracy, but that democracy is not yielding the economic dividend they were expecting.
John, thank you ever so much. John Ofe-Ansah, the African Affairs analyst and publisher of Africa Briefing, talking to us about developments in Tunisia, live there from our studios in London.